Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, November 14th Village Council Workshop. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Lace, what you got for us, Steve?
And we have a lot of people from the community here. Jeff, you want to get started?
No, I do want to thank John and Chris, Fred for coming last week to the meeting, and Lacey for coordinating all this. I'm gonna put Buckeye Hills kind of to, if you want to, Kate, to get started on the business owners, especially for being here. We're in a unique spot. Nobody can promise anything. It's going to be politics from here on out.
I think so. Yeah.
And that's where whatever we can do to get a hold of our legislators, help them, be involved, or we all got to stick together and as a community work together. So thank this city council for even we're trying. Yeah. So let's just keep moving. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. I think that everyone is working together really well, and I think we're going to have a really good, strong application to go to the state with. From that meeting that we had last week, I did come up with a presentation. How feasible is it to put it up on like the TV or something like that? Very okay. Because if not, I brought the big ass post-it notes that I had at that meeting the other day too. That had the same exact notes on them. So. So basically, in that meeting that we had last week, I think that everyone that was in the room, thank you to the village council members and the mayor for coming to that meeting. I think we come up with some projects that works for basically all of the stakeholders in Crooksville. And like I said, I think that we'll have a really strong application. And the village has passed a resolution to go with Buckeye Hills for the planning application. So Buckeye Hills will of course be able to help us kind of get those projects all figured out, the details and stuff like that. So I think Crooksville's on a really good path. And this presentation basically just states what each stakeholder, the projects that each stakeholder would like to see happen. Okay, and then I will say, everyone has my husband to thank for this. I was so busy this weekend and today that he actually put the presentation together for me, so. He's at a Legion meeting in Roseville, so he wasn't able to be here tonight. There we go. Okay, and then next slide. You can put some nice pictures of mountains on there for us. So you can go to the next slide.
You should just click on it.
Okay, so we'll start out with the projects that we talked about with the village. So we thought in the meeting, everybody, and of course, this is a presentation where we would love to have feedback from some of the folks that maybe weren't in that meeting that we had the other day. So we were talking about Main Street and China Street corridor projects. So going after stormwater, sidewalks, crosswalks, lighting, and then something he forgot to put on there was wayfinding signage for businesses. All of those things would really improve both Main Street and China Street, and of course would play into the updates and upgrades and renovations that some of our business owners would also be going after. So it's a really holistic approach. And then the park, they had also mentioned bathrooms, upgrading the bathrooms that are in the park right now, upgrading the lighting that's down there, which of course goes into public safety, the baby pool, a walking trail, which walking trails are really being emphasized with this money. Anything that goes towards the health of a community And then baseball field upgrades was also another project that we had mentioned.
Just to clarify, the bathrooms on that was the bathhouse for the swimming pool.
Oh, my apologies.
No, worries. The bathrooms in both of
I
those.
thought so. Yeah, they're really nice too.
It's for the park, the pool.
The pool. Okay.
Swimming pool.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. And then another thing that we had brought up was, we can do all of the renovations and upgrades to the businesses in downtown that we want, but if people don't have somewhere to park, then, what's the sense? So the East School is currently being demolished. So we, in that meeting, had brought up the idea of perhaps putting in a parking lot there. And I know that the county currently has monies for charging stations for electric vehicles. So, that could be a good spot for that. Or we can look at adding in the charging stations with Wi-Fi capabilities by the community bank in those 4 spots that are available in the lower lot. So those would really increase the amount of parking that we have in downtown and would benefit any of the businesses that are down there and any potential businesses that are to come in the future. So we definitely have some really invested property and business owners that are willing to put in the work. So yeah, we have to have some parking available for them. And then we had also mentioned there were some open parcels in between buildings that are, just empty gravel lots right now. So maybe we could explore the potential of putting in parking in some of those empty lots. Okay, so next slide. Okay, and then the business owners. So about a month or 2 ago, American Structure Point had sent some engineers through, 19 buildings in Crooksville, Jeff?
16, I believe,
16
but there are 4 to 6 more that they're going to come back and it's on the list. So,
perfect.
And we were top in the county, which they were happy with that.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, American Structure Point, their engineers had come and done an initial walkthrough of all of those 16 buildings and potentially the 4 more. And they were giving recommendations from those initial walkthroughs. So a recommendation to go after, structural engineering reports or, et cetera. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what kind of recommendations they would have. But to go after that in the planning phase, to have that paid for. So in the planning phase, which is what the Village of Crooksville signed on to Buckeye Hills with, we would apply for that monies to have those reports paid for. So that was one thing that business owners could have in on this application. And then the Brandons had also mentioned an expansion of underground athletics, their facility. So in their empty gravel lot that they have right now, building a bigger gym and then possibly, something that the community can use. So, Little League and adults could have, basketball games going on there, or volleyball games, just like a bigger facility for the gym. And then, doing some sort of renovation to their current facility to be used for something else. Another thing that we thought the business owners could really benefit from with this $500 million was looking at putting in a dialysis center and a cancer center. There's a lot of folks in this community and communities nearby that have to drive pretty far away to get to these types of care centers. Personally speaking, my grandpa, they live in Beavertown and they have to drive all the way to North Point, Zanesville. They're in their 80s, and how feasible is that for them to be driving all the way to North Point, Zanesville, 3 days a week for those type of services when they could drive, 10 minutes down to Crooksville. So we would potentially look at getting some sort of partnership going to get something like that put into the community. And then also a lot of our downtown buildings do have second floors that aren't currently being utilized for anything. And there are a lot of folks in the community that do need rental housing of some sort. So potentially looking at putting in housing of some sort on the second floors of some of the buildings downtown. All right, and then next slide. All right, and then the school was able to make it to one of the last meeting that we had. Who was it? Aaliyah Barker?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they are looking at putting in a workforce development center in downtown Crooksville in one of the downtown buildings. So we would use that planning phase of this money to really explore what that looks like, what downtown building would be the best suited for those needs. And then, yeah, looking at how we get that project moving forward. And then the library, there were a number of things, and Missy Morrell of the Perry County Library System was also at that meeting the other day. And there are a number of things that the library is interested in doing. So she mentioned that the Crooksville branch of the library system is the last one, basically, to receive some sort of renovation and upgrades. So she said, like, what better time than now to go after money like this in order to make these types of things happen. So they are currently looking at a renovation of their space that Joe owns to make it more ADA compliant, easier entry and better parking for that facility. They're also looking at adding co-working space, which me, of course, speaking from personal experience again, I need co-working space. I work 4 days a week from home, and I'm sure I'm not the only one alone in Crooksville that does that. So, a space where folks that work remotely can go and work. And then also somewhere for telehealth. So she was mentioning these as landing zones. So rooms where people can come in and rent the space for whatever they need. So whether that's using it for telehealth appointments, or maybe it's a mental health provider coming to the community where their patients live, their clients, I'm not sure what the actual word is, and like meeting them where they're at instead of the client having to go to New Lex or Zanesville or Lancaster or wherever it is they go for these types of mental health appointments. Another thing was community space, where people in a community can rent out somewhere if they have a meeting or just like a small event or something like that. Another thing they explored was a maker space, and then an education and meeting space. So this would be available to anyone in the community, but they were also exploring some sort of partnership with the school in the workforce development center that the school had brought up in the last meeting. And then also kitchen space that could be available to the community. Maybe they do some sort of classes, that kind of stuff. And then they were also on the fence about exploring the possibility of a garage in the back of the building where their bookmobile could be housed, because the bookmobile has to be housed in a climate-controlled facility. Right now they're storing the bookmobile in the old firehouse in New Lex, which of course is the old theater, which the county is looking at as a project. So they're not going to have housing for their bookmobile for much longer. So we're looking at that being a possibility. Next slide. So then in that meeting, we noticed that there were a number of folks that have been attending the meetings that weren't there. And we definitely think that everyone's opinions are definitely valid. We want to hear them. We want to make sure that everything that we're asking for with the $500 million is representative of everyone's needs. So these were 3 of the folks that weren't in the meeting. I'm not sure if any of them are here now. Bill is here. So yeah, just definitely wanted to have everyone's feedback. Just want to make sure we're communicating. And then of course, Steve Schilling, I know he owns a number of properties in Crooksville. And then Misty Reed definitely wanted to have their opinions. Okay. All right, and then that was my presentation. That is my contact information. I'm sure most of y'all have it already. If not, you already know where to find me anyway. So that was my presentation, and definitely would welcome some discussion and feedback.
I did talk with Commissioner Ben Carpenter. He couldn't make it, but tomorrow, as far as the downtown revitalization, there's a public meeting, Zoom meeting. If anybody needs that online connection, I have meetings tomorrow morning, but it's at 3:30.
Yeah.
Kate can get it to you, or I can email it to you. If you get a hold of me, I can email you the meeting. Is it being recorded?
As far as I know, yes.
So the rules keep changing. That's politics again. but we all need, again, I'm happy that we're this far and further ahead than most people in the county, but everybody's gonna be going after this. Fred, you probably have insight, you go to a lot of the meetings. I don't wanna get you started, but quietly.
Yeah, I have to apologize for my outburst there Wednesday at the other meeting, but you know, I'm very passionate about this. This is money that our only chance we have to have such a great project to benefit the whole community and the county. So yeah, I still have concerns, some, but they can be worked out. I know we're still missing one building owner that's not here, and there's, you know, whether, I don't know legally who's responsible for the building. You know, that's being sold under a land contract, so neither one of the people has been notified to own the building originally, and then the person that's buying under land contract, it's my understanding they've been notified, but they have not attended any meetings. And this is very, this building, I think, is very crucial for the downtown project and for the, you know, the future of the downtown. So some way we'll have to work around how to get that, those people involved if we can. If they can't, well then, you know,
And I've
one
talked
step forward and two back.
to someone else that's political, and I asked him if he was making the right decision, what his opinion was of signing on now without going with the county, or, you know, waiting, and he said absolutely go. And then because we still can go Buckeye Hills with our plan, if someone else wants to come in with the Pottery Museum, you know, with a project, I mean, we still can sign on, and there's still other monies available. So we're not just capping ourselves off, or my understanding with signing on now. I think we're doing the right thing. So.
Yeah, and like the purpose of that, those lists of projects for each of the stakeholders is, you know, really getting a leg up and doing that work now, having the conversations now, because I mean, they say it's a year of the planning phase before you can apply for the actual development implementation monies, but you know, it's actually whenever they award the money in January, which I mean, on their state's timeline, probably be late January, and then you have until October 31st, so you know, that's not even a full year. So, you know, doing this legwork now, putting these projects lists together now, that way Buckeye Hills knows exactly what Crooksville is wanting to go for, and then helping to make the right connections, matching you with other communities, and matching you with the technical assistance providers that are going to be able to help with that planning phase of those projects. I think definitely doing that legwork now is really good.
I clarified this too, which was from the beginning, this 75-25% match was great, and now it's went to 100% match, and I asked that for the third time. It's 100% match as of now. So
no match.
There's no.
yeah,
Yeah, there's
it's 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
zero.
zero
So,
match.
That's even better.
Yeah.
I mean, now
It doesn't
tomorrow,
happen now.
tomorrow what we hear,
Never happens.
I don't know, but yes. So
It's nice you're hearing that, but don't count on it.
well, that's
You know what I
that's
mean?
politics. That's
Right.
exactly what I'm
Hope
saying.
for the best.
But at least we
Prepare for
know
the
that's
worst.
the game, and
Accept
that's
the
what we
moment.
have to do.
That's
And
where we're at this moment.
yeah, yes, that's what we're being told. Business owners, any questions or? Joe, anything from the library or?
No other situation. I mean, as far as like adding on to that for the bookmobile, it's kind of in limbo too. Where we're at behind where they're actually at now, there's that great big manhole or storm sewer that goes through there, so it's not feasible in that point, but we're still in the phase of trying to figure out what we could do or should do or would do. I talked to the community bank also about the property, the parking lot. So we're still in phases of trying to figure out if they would like to sell it to us to where we could get some money to possibly renovate that parking to use for parking, which is behind the old front row video.
Right.
Whether it be me or them, I've contacted them about possibly purchasing it, and we're kind of back and forth on that yet, so
Right.
we're kind of trying to get more parking, that's a big thing.
Has anyone brought up maybe the property right down there across the bridge where Sprankles was at? I mean, that's,
Yeah, I mean, that's city
the
owned,
village
right?
of Crooksville owns that.
Could that be thrown in as part of their
That could be a
sidewalk?
spot for
Well,
parking that's
Right.
closer to your business
Mhm.
district and
Well, in the previous meeting, it was spoke about and making some type of a park down there, you know?
yeah.
And, so I just left that lay because I thought that was a good idea.
I
However,
think it is a good idea, but we need parking
if we
as part
can
of
get
the
the parking
revitalization.
closer to the downtown area, for instance, just enough across the tracks up there at that bank parking area where the other building used to be that they have for parking.
Right.
If we can put those charging stations there, that's closer to the downtown, so the people, if we did have parking, it was mentioned up at the old East School building, they'd have to walk downtown, you know, down the street further.
Most people ain't gonna walk. They can't even walk across.
But I think, you know, you would see the downtown from that lower lot where Sprankles was at, and it's kind of situated. I know we wanted to make a Veterans Memorial there, but we kind of started some of the stuff here. And we talked about if we could ever get that property doing it out there too as well. More, but that's all tied up.
Tied up, and that's, you don't have as much land there as you think you do.
Isn't there an acre and a half down in Little Springer or more?
I don't think it's that much.
It's not that much, but there's a good bit there.
There would be good parking there. I mean, that would be great. Like I said, you still see the down there, but that's,
can that
I
be
don't
thrown
care
in
where you do it.
with the street? Can that be part of the street?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying, is that,
Yeah,
Is that-
this was definitely
I
not
mean, if
final.
the ideal spot would be actually that lot that you've all talked about between the post office and that property. I think Jerry Merle owns it, doesn't he?
Mhm.
Has anyone approached Jerry Merle? I mean, I graduated Jerry's.
Bill, you own that lot there, don't you?
Where?
Right there by your tall building. Is that the one you're talking about, Bill, between the two?
I'm
No,
talking
the
about
post office.
On the other side of the
between the
building.
post office and the,
And I think you're right, Jerry owns it.
yeah, I think Jerry owns
Yeah.
that property.
He owns, I think he still owns the house right
Yeah.
there and that property.
But that's
it's close
the
enough,
ideal
but
spot.
you're
for
really only gonna
centralized
probably get
downtown.
maybe 3 or 4 spots there, because it's not wide enough to park. You're still gonna,
Yeah, they were looking.
even at angle,
Yeah,
it's-
they was looking at making a parking lot there
Right.
10 or 12 years ago when they bought that property.
There's not that much room for.
it's just wide enough to get, you know what I mean, you could leave a lane open and maybe get 3, 4 cars, which is, hey, anything's better than nothing.
It's 0.1 acre, or 0.1 acres is what it is.
0.1 acres.
Yeah.
Which property we talking about?
Morales.
Okay, how about where Sprankles was?
Sprinkles is,
It gets along pretty well though. They used to park right beside the building and go all the way down to the house. I mean, the long way.
.9.
Nothing behind
Yeah,
there, and then
it's
there's a
pretty
chunk that goes
It was
along the
good
creek
bit.
bank and where the old railroad.
There's
bridge is.
0.9 he said.
0.9.
Yeah.
I know we want.
And
That was
I
kind
would
of
say
Tom's dream with that.
having a
That got
parking
more
problem would
park.
be a good problem. If we get to that point, that's a good problem to solve.
Too much parking.
Right, yeah.
Too much parking.
Exactly.
That's preferable to what we have now.
Well, I was just looking at alternatives from,
Yeah.
you know, like
I-
Community Bank, I can see them not wanting to give up parking and they're a good business too. I
They're
mean,
talking about the one
Behind your front row.
Front row.
They own a lot behind your
Oh,
front
yeah, that's
row.
right, they do, yeah.
They didn't know they owned it.
He was talking about that.
Down in behind it.
Not
That's
the
not a
one
bad
right
spot
there.
either, really.
They didn't know they owned it, so we're still,
That could be a real nice spot.
Right.
You could do the business and stuff through there.
My major concern of the downtown project, and these things are good ideas where we can move things around, but the, having the housing on the second floor of the Main Street buildings, not on the first floor, have the first floor for businesses. Now, without any zoning, I don't know if we have any legal, legally, if we can say that, you know, you can't have a residence on the first floor of the downtown business area, you know, buildings. I don't know.
it'd be great, but the problem is, there's not enough businesses to come into town because the way it looks. You know what I'm saying? I've got them. I'd love to kick people out downstairs, but I've got them because you still got to pay the bills.
I understand that.
You understand what I'm saying?
I'm just trying to figure
Yeah.
out a way to do it diplomatically and where
Right.
it can improve the downtown and not look
agree.
like a piece of crap like,
I agree.
you know, well, here I go again. So forgive me. But
Then again,
it is.
Fred, if you clean up downstairs of the business net, I know what building you're talking about, but like, I know Joe takes care of his stuff. And it
I
looks
try.
nice.
It's all over. Well,
If you do that, then you just end up with empty space. Like he said, that you still got to pay for that empty space. So him using his own space for what he wants, I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with Joe doing that. You know what I mean?
I wish we had-
Chicken and the egg and the horse and the cart, what do we do? We gotta get one before the other,
Right.
and which do you do to guarantee? I mean, Joe would do it if he
oh yeah.
would get the businesses, and the business is not gonna come until it's clean up, but
The sidewalks are done.
But if you have income coming in from upstairs would help the
Well-
empty space downstairs, because you have empty space
That was
upstairs.
when the guys from Structure Point came in. They said that was one of the things that they like to see on this is the people that work there live there, so that they're bringing more business through the town. So what they're saying is put living quarters upstairs. The people that are more or less working for you or working near, they're going to stay. They're going to stay. Hey, let's go to the library. Let's go to let's go here for Jeff and get our insurance. And let's go up and eat at the restaurant. You know what I mean? That's what they want. They want everybody to stay local. So they're saying by having those upstairs apartments, that's going to do it. Now, I'd love to put elevators in too, because you get people that don't want to go
Now
up the
that's
steps. It's a long way
quick,
up.
if you put, do you have to do handicap and all that?
That's
Probably.
Yeah.
way beyond
But
my
if it's
realm.
paid for, that
Right.
makes a difference too.
Right.
I think it's a difference if it's residential use or not, but there again, you'd have to contact the Middies, the High Building Department to find out about the elevators.
Well, I'd talk to Structure Point about a couple of situations I have with steps.
And they're supposed to be
They're
coming
fine.
back for all of us, and some
Right.
that did do the full assessment.
Right.
And it's on the list. And the ones that was on the list, I think John and Chris got the list, the business owners got it. That was just an assessment fee that's paid for to come into somebody to even do the evaluation. The evaluation may be $1,000 more
Right.
that we wouldn't have to pay for,
Correct.
so.
And that's what we would apply for in the planning phase.
Right.
That's what Buckeye Hills would help put in that application and all that.
So what is our next step? What do we do from here? I mean, is that the city council or Buckeye Hills? What do we do besides talking?
Yeah, there would be cleaning up that list, making it truly represent what the village wants, what business owners want, library, the school, making sure that it's all completely accurate. And then, since the village was the entity that signed on with Buckeye Hills, the village would have to act on our behalf. So we would give that cleaned up list to the village, and then the village would give that to Buckeye Hills.
Now, does that go with the historical? Did we zone that and prove that right, or did we not? Does that even been brought?
I think
The
that's
historical
different.
district?
I don't
that was
Yeah,
on
it's
the-
different.
That was with
Well,
Preston.
it's kind of like I told Fred. Why would we can always get that later? Let's go for everything we can get because it's 100%. The other one's 40, 60. There's what I mean. If I get free money, I'd rather have the free money. I'm sorry.
Both are
Right.
doing somewhat,
Right.
but okay, so that's just my question, okay.
Mhm.
So we don't worry about that, so we go for the application, and the council's okay with that. We give the application and we can revamp it, or should we wait till tomorrow? How soon should we go for this application?
So what's going to happen is Buckeye Hills is going to have their first informational session tomorrow. That's the virtual meeting. That's at 3:30. So we'll just bring that preliminary list that we have come up with today and give that to them then. And then later on, I think early in December, everyone will come together with Buckeye Hills in person, but they're also going to have a virtual option as well, because making it all the way down to Marietta is not all that feasible for some folks sometimes. And then you'll actually write the application with Buckeye Hills. So you'll give them your ideas, which was this list that we've come up with, and they'll write the application.
So we still have time, obviously, to add to this list.
Yeah, and
Got
we've
till
done all the
December
legwork now. I mean, there's some villages that are coming to the table with zero idea of what they want to do. And we've done all that legwork now. I mean, we have that list. I mean, everybody's in the room and we've all talked. So, yeah, I mean, we've done all the work. We just got to give that list to Buckeye Hills, basically.
And what I keep hearing too is what, I know some of the stuff I repeated 20 times, but it's public and private working together.
Partnership.
Yeah, we can, that's gonna give us points. So, you know, the library is gonna help. If we have a business going in one of Bill's buildings that's public or private, or, you know, it's gonna give points and be, everybody wins. We just gotta keep working like we're doing, but, so we wait till tomorrow. What you just asked, yes.
I'd like to just add one thing about that call. They sent out an invite today, and there were 3.
Yes, yep. So Buckeye Hills
Downtown
yes.
is at 1:30.
At 3:30.
No, it's 3:30.
I think the trails, I thought the trails was the 3rd one.
I think
It
yes,
is.
those are
First.
together. So Buckeye Hills is submitting 3 planning applications for the 500 million. One for the Muskingum River corridor,
Right.
so communities along the Muskingum River. The second was the Ohio River corridor, which of course we don't apply to.
Right.
And then the third one was the everything else, is what they were
Okay.
calling it. So
Okay.
that's trails, downtowns,
Okay.
infrastructure, etc. So that's the bucket that we fit under.
All right, I just didn't want to miss out on that.
Oh, yeah, yep. Yep, and those registration links and stuff can be found on our website too.
So Katie, when should we meet to clean up the list that you presented tonight of everyone's ideas?
I mean, like, the sooner the better. I mean, we could honestly even do that tonight. I mean, I was trying to take some notes down on my big post-it notes. So yeah, I mean, that could be tonight, that could be another meeting. It's just up to everyone.
But based on your experience, what projects on there that you feel will not make the grade?
Will not make the grade.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think we're at the phase where throw whatever we can at the wall and see what sticks. I'm not gonna lie, the baby pool will probably not be funded. It's pretty rare if any pools are funded using state money. That's just an unfortunate truth. Other than that, I mean, I can't really think of anything that wouldn't be eligible. I think that's the only one.
Okay.
Could I read off a small list of things I've written down?
Sure.
Alright. And again, I don't know if it's all eligible, but I'm just curious to see what does stick. There's many communities that I drive by regularly that have, their downtown has a river walk. If it's possible, and I don't know what is owned by the village, but if the river walk can be tied into, along with not just a walk, but a bike trail along the river, from Montana Creek, from the downtown to maybe nearby the park in some way. That way we could tie the two together. If we have parking in the downtown area, and that way the bike trail could loop to the park, and then from the park we could add baseball diamonds, bleachers, and maybe baseball cages. I know you guys already talked about amphitheaters, or an amphitheater. How about paving spots at the park? That would be designated spots for the baseball diamond or whatever gets built in the park. The skate park. If we can move the skate park from here, this massive flood zone, to the village park, I've heard that said
We've talked
several
about
times. Yeah,
We talked about it.
I'd like to see that happen.
We've talked about moving the batting cages from out South Park because of that flooding issue again too. down to the village park as well.
Yeah, that would be nice. And I'm throwing everything through the wall that I could find. The Crooksville Pond, if eligible, is it possible to put one or multiple wooden decks for fishing and viewing, and even picnicking? Obviously on the edges somewhere. Bike trail. Okay, in 2019, Tom was talking about that he would like to see a fence put up along the alley, between the alley and the park. Could that fence be something that could be taken care of? If so, that'd be great. I don't know what you call it, out in Catman's Road, that pond or whatever you call that. At one point,
Was one of the reservoir?
the reservoir.
Yeah.
At one time, and my memory may not serve great, but at one time was that being talked about being sold and couldn't be sold because of the being dammed? It's dammed or something.
Well, there's two. The one down at the bottom on Tapman's Road, that's one of our reservoirs. Then the other one with the dam on the right-hand side, it's further down. It does have the ODNR inspected dam on it. Yes.
Is that dam something that can be paid for to be removed to make it more sellable if you guys wanted to sell it? Anyway, it's an idea. If there's anything in related to broadband, expanding that, I think that would be helpful for a lot of people around here. If at all possible, is there any way that we could get designated truck parking somewhere on the outside of the edge of the village, maybe? That would be helpful. That would help reduce some of the truck traffic for some of the guys who live in town. That way they can park their truck on the edge and drive their car in and out.
I brought that up years ago, but I don't know if you can do it now. I was using the old hall site, it's Wilson's property, I think. And you put your power poles up to where they could plug their trucks in.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
One of them parks over there, I know.
Yeah. I was talking about making it like a parking lot where you can pull your semi, pull your rig in. It's a truck route. The old hall party property, we talked about that 15, 20 years ago.
And the biggest, and this isn't my last, but this is probably the biggest and most impossible list or item I have. You're more welcome to laugh, but I'll say it. The last meeting we had here, I know, Lacey, you were talking about someone was possibly going to buy the old reservoir, or
It'll be up for bid. It's up for bid.
It's up for bid.
On the 28th.
Okay.
So that'll be when we accept offers.
Yeah. Now, because of the amount of money that's possibly available, thinking big, after all, and not selling that property, and maybe using it for some type of development, if that's a possibility. Whether that development be for camping, ATVing, hunting, or just living spaces. I don't know what the possibilities are there.
It's raw land, there's no utilities to it.
I don't know if those utilities could be paid for in some way. That's kind of why I brought this up. I knew that was one of the hurdles to get over that, and like water access, I think.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say water and sewer are not eligible,
Okay.
expenses under this. We only put the stormwater on there, because they are funding them on a case-by-case basis. There are other funding sources that are available for water and wastewater expansion.
All right.
That land out there is also in Morgan County.
I don't know what effect that has. See, I just forgot to bring it up.
I don't either.
And how about any type of additional drainage for in or around the area of Village Green for when flooding does happen? That's my list.
I think Village Green's getting ready to do a project out there, aren't they? They're talking about, I think they're going to do some mitigation themselves with the project they're doing.
Total tear down and replacement, I think.
Right, so I bet you that before they replace it with brand new buildings, that they probably should do some mitigation.
Shouldn't have built one down
Last I heard, they were gonna lift it.
Lift
Everything
it?
was gonna be lifted.
Is that privately owned or?
Privately.
there. Privately owned,
Yeah,
yes.
private.
Now, wouldn't that qualify like a private situation to where? you
It's
know-
it's federal, but
Oh, again, I don't know what that means. You just said a word. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I guess that's outside the possibility. Is that
I would say,
you
I
would
mean,
say?
they've got their own,
All right.
yeah.
Right, hate to say it, but the way the government sees it, if the private sector is willing to do it, let them do it. I mean,
Now, is there the reason why the House Bill 377 originally was named Downtown Revitalization? So to me, that should spark a interest. I mean, not that every idea you had is excellent, but even from the parks to, it was to restore the downtown of villages and then build them out. I mean, it's not to stop there, but
Yeah, utilizing the unfunded COVID money that they've thrown at us over the last 2 years, they've put it all in a big pile, and they're trying to emphasize on downtowns. That's the whole point, and it's going to be point based. So a lot of the ideas you got, Rocky, are good ideas, but like Kate said, there's other funding opportunities for a lot of that stuff. You just got to get the application wrote and set in, and then you've got to have matching funds for those other funding sources.
Right.
And the free money for downtowns utilizing these COVID dollars that they've piled up that weren't used because of the restrictions on the COVID monies for the first round, second round. We ended up getting a few bucks from that, from the first round and second round. We did a fairly decent job on the first round being able to spend because the parameters were public safety and those things. So we, paying out of that fund for EMS and police expenditures.
Right.
That's how we were able to do new vehicles and reliable equipment and so forth. And utilize those funds. Now they're just taking the rest of that money and putting it in. And now the emphasis is, the smaller communities in the downtowns of Appalachia, Ohio are decaying. We've thrown millions and millions and millions of dollars at the big cities. Let's go back to the small towns now, because you got to have an anchor.
Now, is it possible to have? I don't know what public land is available around Moxie Creek. Is it possible to tie in the downtown to the park area in some way?
Whenever you get into like a bike trail, there's a lot more to it, or a walking trail, especially when you go through people's backyards or people's property. You have to get easements on every last property. I looked into it back when Mayor Cannon, he put me on that one years ago, and we were talking about doing one from South Park to the park, and the easements in itself was a monster. It really was. It was a monster.
Do you know how much easement is there in the first place?
You have to get the easements.
Yeah.
from
So there's no easement at all. It's
We don't own it.
Oh, okay.
We don't have anything there.
You
Other
don't,
than
you don't
what's-
have the easements. You have to ask to get those easements.
Right.
Other
A
than
lot of property owners don't want to give up easements.
Oh, I don't blame them.
other than the property that's on both sides of the creek, north and south of Main Street, and down along where the old fire station is,
Mhm.
the old service garage. Once you get past that point,
I think like Prince is in clear down to the creek, don't they?
Prince's and
A lot of
Dave,
people
Herkimer.
are dead.
Chris Weiss.
Chris Weiss,
Yeah, there's a lot of people down, because we looked into that years ago, and we actually
Clear
was
as
going
creek.
further out, was going out towards the school too.
Then you got the railroad in there to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Railroad's
You don't
got a
even
big part of
want
it.
to. You don't even want to.
You don't want to have to cross the creek.
Don't want to have to deal with the railroad.
So
that was part of the other issue when it comes to like the flooding was, is it possible to also open that up a little bit larger, even, again, big money, throwing concrete in there. That way it's all one smooth canal kind of a situation. I don't know, instead of digging it out every few years. But again, like you said, the easement is kind of like the roadblock. So
Exactly.
Cherry Lane.
Well, I have some ideas on that, what you're speaking of, but it takes funding, and we missed one grant opportunity this year to line the banks of the creek with that concrete you see stored behind the firehouse. We could use some of that to line that, but we missed that opportunity. When I found the grant, it done the deadline had already passed.
Right.
And not to dishearten anyone, but if we don't receive any funding at all, of all the projects that Katie had put up there, I had found 8 grants thus far that we could apply for various projects on those lists that she presented tonight. Now they require matching funds. That's what all council will agree with us. We don't have the match. We have very little match, and that's our biggest issue that we've always had in this village, is coming up with the match for these grants. This opportunity through this Appalachian Community Grant is no match, and this is our best shot to get her done. And if we don't, then we have to pick and choose from that list and see how we're going to benefit as a community and which projects are the best to pick and spend what little match money we do have set back for those projects. But don't give up. We can't give up. I'm so excited about this. I'm dreaming of it. So we're going to make it happen. This council and this mayor and administration, we're going to make it happen. And with your help and the business owners' help, it's going to happen. It just takes time working through the government process. And it just drives me nuts. I got all this gray hair from it. And Ronnie's got his from me aggravating. Right, Ronnie?
I think most of mine belongs to Sherry, but I'll give you your share.
So should we, just wait for tomorrow and then the next workshop meeting, or how does the village work? I mean, I know you have your council, but
Council
for
business
the
meeting
public
next
to come
Monday,
and talk, it's workshop,
Next workshop is on the 28th.
I'm sorry,
28th.
28th
That's
after
next
Christmas.
It's a workshop.
Every other week.
Then that will be,
Is that too much?
that'll be the last workshop we'll
The
have.
28th, is that going to be given enough
Before
time
the
to write the
deadline.
actual
Oh,
grant?
Well, we don't have to have minute details right now.
Okay.
So Buckeye Hills will actually do the writing.
Right.
We'll just give them our list
Why would
and
we
they'll
narrow it
include
down
it.
And then can we add to the list, I guess?
Yeah,
Up until when?
December 9th. That's when the applications due.
So we do, so
Why
tonight
would
we
we
should
narrow
do,
anything down right now?
Yeah, just put it in there, yeah.
Should always do it another
I like the
email
list
blast,
now.
have everyone
Skills
send in their
to-
comments they'd like to have, and then we can
Just
send
rank
out
it.
a list.
You know,
Maybe rank it.
just
Like
rank
the
your,
list the
just
way it
rank
is.
your projects, one to,
Like the list now.
you know.
You said earlier, and I don't know if everyone caught it.
I mean, I think it'd be impressive for us to be
That's
at least
what-
first ones in. I mean, on the deadline,
I mean, you know, if
As
you
long
want
as
to
we can add to
prioritize, yeah, we can do that. I like her, I don't know how the business centers feel, but I like the public in her.
you guys fine?
Absolutely so.
I
Just
think
gotta
the
have
car
the-
lot guy need to add some stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yes, and I
everything
think
on
those
there,
are-
and then add to what was on there
By
tonight.
the 28th, is that what we said?
By the
No,
9th.
By the
Yeah, and if we're coming to the next workshop
I mean,
meeting though with the
next
formal
workshop.
list,
28th
yeah,
of November.
that
Yeah,
formal
yeah.
list.
Great list.
I think also
Oh, yeah.
We
maybe
worked a
we're
lot, you know,
representing
we've
that
spent a
the
lot.
ASC.
Well, we narrowed it down.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time.
Fred.
Yeah.
Too many people talking, I can't hear, I'm sorry. What?
Oh, but they were having a conversation, I was talking to Lacey about, we've narrowed our list down. We started with the huge list, this is what we've come to.
You just gotta do the projects that's gonna maximize the amount of points. You gotta maximize the points. That's what you're gonna get.
And it's gotta be
Right.
big enough money.
Right.
You gotta spend some money.
Right.
You gotta have big money projects that
That's
gets good
what
money.
that's out.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, we have a holistic approach right now, I think, public-private partnership.
the maximum amount of points is gonna be the better way to go.
Who's gonna take care of that?
Yep. And then for the regional points where it's more than one county, Buckeye Hills will make that be the matchmaker with other communities. So I mean, Buckeye Hills will get those points. But other than that, I think we've hit basically every bucket.
Honestly, good.
I'm good with the list. Try to keep
All
up
right.
on one day.
Good.
If you want to have another meeting to talk about it, that's fine too.
Other than that, yeah, we can just clean it up with a little word.
Only
and
with
then
taking the
send it
baby
out.
pool off, she said it may not be fun.
That's it, leave it on and find out.
Is that on there? Or that's
Leave it on and find out.
Wait a minute. When we were at the meeting Wednesday night, she said leave the baby pool on there. Because it could be a possible tie-in with somebody else's pool. And it may get cut, but it may not get cut.
It's all on how you
Yeah.
word it too. It's
And-
recreational opportunities.
And not that I know, but my understanding is the same thing that you was talking about is to put something on, even if it's checked off, it's not going to throw everything else off.
Right.
Right.
So it's not
one
gonna hurt
little
it.
piece
Take
there
that
to say,
out.
no,
Right.
we're not gonna do that, but
But
before
we
you have
don't
one
want to
there, the
eliminate
better.
anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We talked a little more about that lighting on that in the park. I don't know if they talked about there. That's actually a phase 2 project.
Yep.
We've already got the top part of the lighting done. I don't know that, like that written, will be written in the application, I'm sure, to let them know that we've already, this is stuff that we've already got.
And then the China Street corridor, they'll really like that because they'll consider it leveraged funds. So
Right.
the projects are
Yes.
already started,
Right.
and they'll score more points.
These are the next phases.
Yeah, if we can get it to design build,
Phase-
using the planning money and then go after
Go
the
with what we
actual
got.
implementation
We're
money
talking
and the
phase 2
development
on lighting,
phase.
phase 2 on
What
Crime
about adding Buckeye Street onto it? Would that help?
On what?
The lighting?
Like a corridor
we had
plan?
talked about going from
Legion to
the
all the way
Legion
around.
all the way around the bridge
Mm-hmm.
at one time.
If it would get us points for downtown revitalization. We're kind of getting away from downtown there, but hey, why not?
Well, you have a major business right here too, on Buckeye Street.
I didn't see the industrial drive project on there about the sidewalks, stormwater and lighting on it.
Mhm.
Is
It
it on
wasn't
there?
on there.
Wasn't it on there?
I can add it on there.
Didn't you talk about trying to get that through the mayor's, mayor's grant, do the same thing, but throw it in with them, or?
That's up to the mayor if they want to participate with the mayor's partnership.
Okay.
That's a whole different thing, you know, how far you want to spread
I
your.
thought he was, when we talked about it, he was going another direction. I
Yeah.
thought when we talked about it, you were going a different direction with that. That's why.
Meaning
What?
what?
That's why we never got put on the list,
We
because
never
Like
got
other
put
funding
on the list
sources
because you were saying about getting the money somewhere else.
right.
Well, that's just, it's like the historical funds. That's another, you know, I told you there's 7 or 8 different resources if this falls through. Well, that was one of them, the LTAP money.
Well, the good thing about this, Fred, on the other side of it, we're already drawn up pretty much a plan.
Yeah.
We go, if we have to fall into these other grants, the businesses and ourselves are going to be better on better footing as far as applying for those other grants.
Better plan for it.
Yeah,
We're good.
but they want a big project. That's a big project, just like the flood control China Street project. It's up to council if they want it on there or not. I'd like to see it on there, but
The lighting out here?
lighting, sidewalks, and curbing all the way to the, from
She just
Strivers
put it-
to
She just put it on there.
South State Street.
She just put it on the list, right?
Got the list going.
Thank you. If everybody that goes along with it, nobody's saying anything, so.
Like I said, throw it up there, see what sticks.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Anything
See you
else?
at creative writing class.
This is like going for a business loan, we want $20 million in our equity, net worth is like $2 million. We gotta paint a pretty picture.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sweat
All
equity.
right. I think we have a plan.
And it really is all connecting to downtown. I mean, from that direction, from the park up this way.
Well, you wouldn't believe how many people actually walk Industrial Drive.
Oh,
Walk
yeah.
across
I-
before that new bridge
I
even
see
came
it.
in. That's been,
Yeah.
when I ran, that was my run thoroughfare.
That's
It
why
was
we
through the park
put
and
the
down around there.
sidewalk on the bridge.
Dangerous too, somebody will run over you.
Yeah.
A couple
It's a
times.
3.2 mile track from the top of the park, go all the way around Industrial Drive, go up South State Street, up South State, get on China, and right to the shelter house, the new shelter house, 3.2 mile, 5K. I ran all there, so.
You could start holding them here, Bill.
Huh?
You could start holding 5Ks here.
We already have, I mean, that's what they ran.
All right, sounds good. Anything else?
Thank you again for your time and your cooperation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize. I'm trying to do that. I want to talk about the I did run that.
What's the address?
Good job, buddy. You say, whoever did it?
Was that just turned in today?
I'll keep it close to the road. I'm gonna try to spread it over here. If I can get out early, couple of days. I'm gonna go all my, dig up, put the blinds,
It'll get quieter once everybody.
I know.
Yeah. Were you the ones taking together today? Okay.
I believe this gentleman is
Okay.
no, for a year.
Did you talk to her this afternoon? Okay, because I think she was missing some documentation.
He's sure he felt a lot better there than down there. I do too.
Okay. Okay.
We just need to have water and sewer and everything checked off.
We gotta get this. Yeah, well, I don't know about six. I can go to the grocery store and get that.
They're having a lot of
medical issues.
trying
to
test it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I already
Say where somebody who's having a hard time walking to get out.
She probably does.
So, instead of being a veteran and all, so if we can push it forward a little bit sooner than next week.
Oh, I don't see a problem with pending utility checks.
Listen, I can get the guys out there tomorrow. I just wanted to make sure that.
I'll text you. Thank you.
I had to move it close, and she wanted to draw like how the house was.
How the house was, right. Yeah.
What was the name and address one more time? It's Marmor, yes.
Okay.
It's 703 Water Street.
That's why I don't like to get anything.
Bar. Yes. Unfortunately, they're both having some serious medical decline at this point. We're just trying to take care of them as best we can. And again, sir, appreciate the enthusiasm and talk.
Thanks. I much appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you hearing me out. Everybody have a good evening. I'm sorry to take up more of your time.
We're here to pass our guys.
Yeah. I'll get with the guys tomorrow morning. See what they can do. So everything checks out. So, are you guys good with pending their approval?
Pending their approval.
Especially this handicap.
Yeah.
What was messed up on paper?
They had a drawing from Lowe's, but it wasn't showing where exactly it was gonna be. It was gonna be in front of the house, back, but it wasn't giving enough details or dimensions or anything like that. It was well laid out. It just wasn't showing where it was gonna be, so when the guys went out to check, they weren't gonna know where they were checking.
Where it was going.
Yeah,
Did their drawing help now that they got now?
And that's, I just asked him, I haven't seen it yet, so they must have given it to Heather after Heather and I spoke this morning.
I'm good with it as long as our guys check it out and say it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody else in the audience have anything they'd like to discuss?
Yes.
Okay. You're
We
up.
didn't know we could
Maybe.
jump right up.
It's your turn.
I'll pass these
Okay.
out. We talked.
I'm Lisa Lackrow, I'm with Perry County Mobility Management, and also our office runs and directs public transportation, Perry County Transit. Jenny LaRue and I work a collaboration of programs and projects in the county. Jenny is with the Perry County Health Department and Living Healthy Communities and Wellness. The Complete Streets policy, Perry County has a coordinated plan, and the coordinated transportation plan is approved through Ohio Department of Transportation on a 4-year period. In that transportation plan, we have to outline goals and strategies to improve our communities, make them more accessible, make them eligible for funding and funding opportunities and avenues. So what we do, we're trying to encourage, first of all, complete streets policies. This goes on with some of the planning and development that we've heard here tonight with Buckeye Hills and things of that nature. Had this 550 million hadn't fell out to the Appalachian counties, we'd still be doing the everyday battles. How are we going to fund projects? How are we going to improve the infrastructure in our villages? How are we going to do this? You're not the only village that doesn't have match money. It's the same thing in all the villages. You know, we're Appalachia territory, we have a high poverty level. We can go on and on about all what we have that's in the negativity. But anyways, with the complete street policies, what it does is help improve future planning and development in your counties. Complete Streets policy is not just for a pedestrian, it's for bicyclists, it's for the motorists, it's for accessibility, people that are ADA eligible, ADA protected, and so that they have to be able to access and move about in the communities as well without a vehicle. So by adopting or doing a complete street policies, basically, I'm better at giving examples of people who did not have the policies and what resulted in that. So for one example, and I'll use this, Taco Bell in New Lexington. In Lexington, this was prior to a complete streets policy. Taco Bell decides to come to town, purchase the land, does the acquisition, and laid aside $15,000 in the budget for the sidewalk. There was no one to, there's some gray area. There was not a complete streets policy in place. Even though they had a resolution that addressed that they must have, no one went down and actually inspected or applied the rules to Taco Bell. So they pulled their $15,000 back, put it elsewhere, and didn't put their sidewalk in. So now here's another business that we're dealing with in the Carroll Street corridor, Broadway corridor area in New Lex, where they didn't make their sidewalk. They didn't have to make their sidewalk. So now we have to go back and try to apply for funding or find projects to complete what should have been done to begin with. It would be the same thing if you have vacant property here in your communities within your village, and somebody comes in and decides to, you know, put Starbucks or a franchise or locate a Burger King out here, and you have no policy in place. Well, they don't have to put that sidewalk out front. If you don't do it, it's like from when you adopt a policy this day forward. It's not like you're going to go around and go door to door knocking on your people's door and your residents within the village and say you've got to do this. That's not what we're out to create or do or encourage with you. But under Complete Streets, there's a number of positives that come out of it. First of all, I mentioned public transportation. And I don't know how many of you are familiar who have heard about the loop. Perry County currently, we've been running a loop, phase 1 of the loop for over 12 months now. A loop is a high traffic area. You connect those areas with public transportation continually. So you don't call in to schedule that ride or pickup. You show up on the loop and you ride at this point, no cost. So it's a zero loop that we have. It's zero cost. It's going to be zero emissions because we're accepting electric vehicles. So there comes the electric structures that have to be in place throughout the communities. You can't run these transits and run back to New Lex to charge them. You have to have these structures available out and about where you're at. So when they're staging, let's just say that we would locate an electric vehicle charging station within the village of Crooksville. They would, if they were staging over here or running the loop over here, they would charge to be able to recharge that vehicle to continue on. Going back to phase 1, that's connecting the village of Somerset and New Lexington. So what you do is you keep expanding out, and we've got funded again. We're going to phase 2, which is going to include Crooksville and Shawnee. And then we're going to phase 3, and as long as they keep funding, we'll continue to increase the phases out and connect hopefully north to south, east to west. So we would love to run from Thornville to Corning, New Straitsville, from Rushville into Avondale, Fultonham, Roseville area. So to connect the complete street policies, what we're doing is encouraging people to use all modes of transportation. A lot of households don't own a vehicle. A lot of households are not eligible to own a vehicle or have a valid driver's license. So when we're encouraging them, if we put a shelter in over here and we run this loop to Crooksville, and people, how are they accessing? How are they getting down to the shelter? How are they in the roadways? Because that's what's happening in the village of New Lexington. And I go back there just because I grew up there and I'm really familiar with it. Fred's worked with us on the Carroll Street Corridor project where we had high school and middle school students in the roadway. There is, from Newland Tire out to ITT Automotive, that used to be nothing but cornfields before that development. Here's another fine example. There was no complete streets policies, no one cared. Who's going to be walking out there anyway? We're not doing that. Look what growth has done through the years. So now you've got 38 businesses in an area. You have wheelchair strollers, wagons in the roadway, which is a public safety issue. So we've been working since 2018 along with Buckeye Hills trying to get funding on through ODOT with public safety. It is one of the village's new legs of their wish list of this money that's going to just fall in our laps. So my point being is it's very, very important. We come out to present this to you. We give you this literature for you to look at. Some of these roadways, that's not going to be in our area. When you're looking at urban and metro versus Appalachia, rural territory in Ohio,
Right.
It's not the same.
No.
But we have to begin to improve somewhere. We would like marked crossings. We would like beacons flashing. We would like to get the wheelchair lipping on every curb cutout. And when there's new development, that you do have a sidewalk that's available. I enjoy walking, but when you can't, you're out in the roadway, that's a safety issue for us.
Sure.
And like I said, I know that Jenny has stopped and talked to people who was pushing a baby stroller and had to pick their baby stroller up in front of the McDonald's in Lexington because he couldn't safely push it across into the gravel. When you leave that pavement, you're going into gravel. You're going into where trucks, the white trucks have cut away a berm there, a makeshift berm. So he actually picks the stroller up and carries it across with infants in it. There's a number of things that you get into. And we could go all night long about situations that you may experience and what you folks see here in your village. But our point being is, Complete Street's there. If you adopt it and you pass it, you have the ability to create your own policy. Going back to that coordinated plan I told you about, which is basically the Transportation Bible, is what we refer to. We have now gotten 4 villages approved. We have 2 in processing, and we're presenting to you tonight. So, and I know that Jenny, she works a lot in Thornport, Reading Township area, so Thorn Township, we would be processing out further and further to get these complete street policies passed. And then get them into, once they're passed, to have people abide by. Another thing is, on funding opportunities, when ODOT runs funding opportunities, paving projects and things of that nature, it also moves you up higher on the scoring list if you have these policies in place.
Definitely.
So New Straitsville, I think they're on the paving project for 2026. Their streets will be done when they do the projects because, they're in the process of looking and entertaining the complete streets policy.
One other thing besides the funding, it also helps you if a utility company is coming in to dig up your sidewalks because of utilities running under them, to put them back at the ADA compliance thing. Also, you can look at your routes. You might not get a river route or a creek route, but there are other ways to make some bike and walking routes. It could be your alleys. There's a perfect center alley that runs through town that comes right out the park, right in the middle, out at the end, that you could designate as a walking and biking, and just make your crosswalks accessible for that. There's so much more that you will get just from having a policy for complete streets. If you are applying for all the other funding, say you only get Main Street done with this Appalachian money, this could help you also apply for some of those other grants and give you more points. So We are working to get as many complete streets policies in Perry County as possible, because it will benefit and help us to connect communities.
Will this get us more points, this complete streets policy with the Appalachian Grant?
Not necessarily the Appalachia Grant.
But ODOT for sure. It will absolutely get you more points when you apply for ODOT funding.
So is there a deadline where we need to approve?
There's not a deadline for it. You would adopt the policy and it would become effective the date that the council or whomever would adopt the policy. This is actually a copy of the policy, and I tried to make sure that I have everything in there with the Village of Crooksville. And I did it up for you guys to be able to look at it, review it, the wording. Anything that you wish to modify, update to suit your village, because obviously if there's something that maybe you're experiencing in your village that other villages don't, you can add or modify the wording in here. But on the last page, some of those examples of, in the yellow where we highlighted, there would be other examples listed there for Crooksville. So what we would do would be list some of your successes. These are what were listed out in your letters, but I wanted you to be able to see what the actual template looks like and how it would be personalized to some projects that you guys have approved over here or gotten going, or where you would like to go with it. And then the last thing, of course, the date would be pending the day you're able to do that, and then if everybody should approve that, and approve one. So what we did, we go out to the villages, we talk to the council, we plant the seed, and then we usually return or modify the wording that you need if you wish, or have us back again if you have questions or concerns about doing such a policy or passing the policy.
Any questions tonight?
Anything, council?
I will tell you that Crooksville, and I don't know, Fred, if you've discussed it with the people as far as public transportation, Crooksville, the connectivity is on the next loop. There is a shelter that's been designated for the village, a possibility of another down the road, but on phase 2, there's 3 more shelters, and we've just taken delivery on them. One is going to be in the village of Crooksville, one is going to be finally at the Genesis ER location in Somerset, and one over in the village of Shawnee. So.
And this could really benefit your seniors too. You have a lot of seniors that live out on State Street. And I'm sure they rely sometimes on transit or relatives to take them to the grocery store or whatever. So it could benefit them too.
Do you have a location for that in Crooksville yet?
I know my director come out and spoke to someone, and I don't know, they were talking about a building. It hasn't been decided. What you do, we'll go to the study of where most trips are generated. Well, I can tell you where most trips are generated in this area here, because you have the stored location, you have the access to Main Street, you have this building here. So it would be where most trips are generated out of. And basically it's within a 3-block area here.
And how much,
Interesting on who they talk to, because they haven't talked to anybody here.
It is actually a report that comes out of Buckeye Hills on data, all the data and figures that they provide for everyone in the region. So on
the gas station, Family Dollar, Dollar General.
Most trips for public transportation are generated out of here.
Drivers.
Okay.
Pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as putting that station,
It's not been set in stone. We've taken delivery on it.
okay.
I don't know. Cheryl Boley and Eric Wright are the 2 representatives that actually would make contact or talk. And she, unfortunately, was in a conference in Seattle, Washington, fell into a pothole on the street and completely broke her ankle from her leg. So she had started it. I'm here picking it up. It's as nasty as it sounds. It really is a terrible, terrible thing. And so she was able to fly back home, and she went to Grant Medical Center and had surgery done on that. So, but I do not. We will be in touch, and we will be coming back for that because we've got the shelters.
And you guys know your village. You know,
Yeah.
you know where the lots are.
Council will get to decide where they want to put it, or where based on your.
It's a covered shelter with solar lighting, and there's a small bench.
how much space is needed for that?
There's one at Save-A-Lot.
There is.
There's one up at Brown Street across from,
At the new sheriff's office.
Yeah.
EMA 911 building.
Okay.
If you have seen those shelters
they
are
don't
what they
take up
are.
a lot of space, but you need to have a place for the transit to stop.
Yeah.
A safe stopping, because they actually will wait and stage. It's not your typical door-to-door services
Correct.
that we're going with. So there is a small bench. It is ADA accessible, so a wheelchair is able to, wheelchair walker canes, your apparatuses are able to enter safely. So it's on flat surfaces. And what happens is, Ohio Department of Transportation pays for the shelter and the install. And then it basically becomes municipality property.
Right.
Because we just had to clarify that for Shawnee. Their council wanted to know, well, who ensures that, who's responsible, so we just got that clarification.
They do.
Yes, yes.
You sign on to it, you own it.
You take it,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like any other property or award.
This is a fully enclosed building?
No,
It's a
it's,
Like three-sided, two ends in the back and a bench in the middle?
it's sort of, you could say three-sided, because there's entry at both ends, and then there's just a panel glass in the center that keeps wind and rain and such out. But there is one in Somerset and two in Lexington currently.
But you know, the charging stations are
Yes.
also funded through Coordinated Transportation Plan.
Yeah.
So, you know, depending on what you get through the
That's-
Bill
yes.
377.
And that's the connectivity with the loop. If we're running zero emission vehicles on that loop, which is the grand plan, where I think we're like second or third transit in the state that's going to Appalachia.
And electricity.
So,
Well, if you can get your people to shop here by using transit, it saves them from going out of county to another big box store. You know, so that you're generating business for your own community. You guys are the second
and if
largest.
you, just think if you would
Village.
get your dialysis center,
Oh my
that's a whole other
gosh.
study.
You'd
The
be
number of
bringing in
people that
businesses.
we're taking outside of the county to every neighboring county except Morgan. We've got it down, we've got the art down. Everyone has a dialysis center and we're taking people out 3 times a week to those centers other than Morgan County. And that's not accounting for people who drive in south or have a relative or a spouse or someone taking it. So
Yeah.
it is a terrible thing and it's a need, and I was glad to see that because that was one of, we were to make 6 items, and that was one of my, is to have a dialysis center
We
within our
need
county.
it. Perry County needs it bad.
Crooksville's a good spot.
We used to have over 500 people going to dialysis every week. I don't know with COVID if that number's changed, but there's always new people needing dialysis. That's a lot of traveling out of the county.
By miles and times for us, and medical's the majority of our runs.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yes.
Just let us know if you need us to come back. We'll be glad to.
Transit.
All right, thank you.
So the charging station wasn't there, but where they stop it, is that what you're saying?
Somewhere in the proximity of that or along where that loop goes that they're going to stage safely. Yeah. And depending on from what we're learning, because we're learning about this EV electrical vehicle system as well, it depends on what the station is, how quick or how long, or what the vehicle's utilizing.
Sure.
So it's all in study phase for us. It's all new for us as well.
Yep.
So,
Thank
but
you.
if they're throwing the money this way, we're gonna take it.
Yep.
But I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you so
appreciate
much,
it.
and have a great evening for the rest of
Thank you.
what there is for you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Well, it's good seeing you again. I just got to see you the other night. That was a great time. Great time. We had our
Brian, you have anything?
Did not.
Okay.
I was trying to think, when I most of the sidewalks we've had put in, they're ADA compliant.
China Street corridor project, yeah,
Most of Maine is too.
most of
The ones we've got done.
it. Some is not.
None of it is.
I mean, China Street is.
China Street is, yeah. Nothing on Main Street is. They're all stepped up. There are no ramps to them. They don't have that, they don't have their little floating little things in them. Nothing in town is. China Street, we had to do that when they only replaced what they tore up. They didn't actually make it ADA to the ADA compliant specs.
They made it back to the size it was.
It's the size it was, yep.
Okay. First thing I have on the agenda is we've had a huge problem at the rec center. It's been ongoing long before I was here with the keys and keys disappearing, keys being made, being passed around, not getting keys back, and people letting themselves in the rec center, which then causes another set of problems, which people will turn the heat and the air both on all the way up and every light in the building on, which then our electric bill is insane. There have been a lot of months where the rec center that's really not being used, the electric bill is higher there than it is for this building and the new fire station put together. So that's a huge, huge problem. So my thoughts are, let's remove the keys. Let's do a keypad system like we have here. When we rent it out, we give a temporary, like a 1-day passcode. That's something we would be able to control. And then, you know, it resets, it's gone. And that way, we don't have the keys. We don't have making sure we're trying to collect the keys back, people dropping them off, not dropping them off, keeping a hold of them. It's really a nightmare.
I think it's a good idea.
So you'll see there's a quote there. It is a little expensive, but for a little over $3,000, we could save that on our electric bill down there in just a couple of months. So it's something.
That's something that you're going to be able to say. I come in and talk to you, just scenario, and say I want to use it tonight, and you say, okay, what do you want your passcode to be, and I give you.
Yeah,
you can set that from up here. You don't have to go down there to change it. It's all going
it's
to
all
be
done by
computerized
right.
over the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a passcode.
Yeah. It's
well,
you know what I mean.
But yeah,
it's going
the
to be
same
different
idea.
24 hours or whatever it is. Yeah.
Tracy's able to do ours up here. She puts it in the computer, so it would be really similar. An updated version, but very similar to what we have here. It's so much easier and so much better than having and dealing with keys.
I think it's a good idea.
All we'd have to have is one, right, on the back side. Or you want to do it here on this side, the entrance door?
I would prefer to do it here on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be it.
Want to do it?
Perfect.
So
just got to make sure that they don't go and prop the back door open once they get the passcode.
Well,
I mean,
nothing's.
we can work through that.
I was gonna say nothing will solve all the problems, but I really believe that this would cut down on a lot of that. And then if we go down and we see everything's on, everything's been left
find out
open,
who that was.
we will know who was in there.
Perfect.
And we'll know John had the passcode at this time. I can pull it up on the cameras for the time that you were there. There's John making bad choices. So, John, make better choices.
We should have some rules too. I mean, if you do something, then you're liable or blah, blah, blah.
Well, I feel like this is a good start to an ongoing problem.
So what about the climbing wall? Are they going to get one code and keep it forever?
Well, anybody that uses it on a regular basis would have a set passcode like what we have here. I have a code that I use every day to get in the door.
And once that code gets out to other people?
It's not going to be temporary.
Well, not everybody's would be.
Like
I mean, like Chris Rice would have one, but I don't think Chris Rice is gonna go giving it out, and then we would be able to see.
Again,
okay, well this, this is a Chris Rice.
Other than Chris Rice, who else would receive a code that they don't have to keep coming back and getting one?
I think Tim, Bob for sure. I would have one.
Tim,
Courtney,
Bob, Chief Hill.
Yeah.
So they can have access in for the
Brian.
Brian would need one for sure.
So just regular employees that would possibly need to utilize it, but I don't see that being. Employees aren't the problem.
Other than Chris Rice, nobody else uses it continuously.
Right. Yeah, but couldn't you change his pass every Thursday or whenever they come?
I think.
Huh?
Archery doesn't.
Archery, I think he's started up or getting ready to. Right. So I know you guys have done some talking about that and what we were going to do about that. But I would just keep it the same, and if we found it to be a problem, then change it, because
Right.
I don't see Chris Rice giving it out to anybody. You know, he values being able to use that space. He's not going to.
He knows all about it anyway.
He does, he absolutely does.
So, and I've even talked to him briefly about it. He was in my office one day and we talked briefly about different ideas of ways to stop it, you know, and I don't like going down there by myself some days because you don't know who's gonna be in there, who's got the keys. You don't know.
Right.
So, I
Does
think
a lady still walk in the morning?
I don't think they have it.
They'll probably start up once it gets.
Probably usually once it gets cold, they come in and.
Now that the weather's turning, silver sneakers will be back in there.
So if everybody's good with this, I'd like to put this on for next week.
Yeah.
Approved.
Yeah.
Next, Tim Bob's been talking, we've got at least 3 trucks that are pretty old, that aren't great for the guys to be driving. So I've kind of been keeping an eye on gov deals. Everybody knows the price of trucks. Oh, the price of everything's insane right now, but Jiminy Christmas, the price of trucks are insane. I was looking at, some of them were 10 grand that didn't run. I did find there's, I think 5 or 6 of them. I didn't print out enough for everybody, but they're on gov deals. Talked to Tim about it today. That are, the bid's gonna be up tomorrow, that are looking to go for hopefully under 4 grand. I'd really like to place a bid on one with council's approval.
What's it for?
To replace, we've got 3 of them that are bad. They're older, they're just not.
Which ones? The water, sewer, sewer?
I know.
Parks.
Where's the money coming from?
It would be water, sewer. So, there's 5 or 6 of them for about this price. This was the minimum bid as of, I don't know, this afternoon. So we're just a little over 2 grand.
So how many vehicles do we have in our service department on the road every day?
Oh, gosh.
6, 7, 8.
Yeah, there's a
Why
lot.
do we need that many on the road?
Well, we've got that many guys and they're not always going the same directions. We've got guys going in different directions on different projects. I don't want them buddying up. I'd rather them divide and conquer and do what they've got to do.
But then the price of gasoline, insurance on vehicles, and then we're looking at 3 vehicles now. You're saying that he's saying it's, you know, they're wore out.
I guess we just need a list of the fleet here and get an idea of what we got.
I mean, you know, we have to be responsible here somewhere for all these vehicles on the road, and then are they all necessary?
Well, and that's what this would be, replacing one of whichever's the worst.
What are your other vehicles that are supposed to be bad?
I know he was saying the tan truck. I can't even remember the other ones, but
The one Jerry used to drive?
it's. I mean,
It's
well,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's back 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That was
The
been
spring,
gone for a while.
the spring in the seat come up and poked you in the butt 10 years ago. Yeah.
We just cut the spring out.
Put a bigger pill in it.
Yeah.
You know, Rick used that down at the park.
The
That's
one
the
I
park,
seen
that's the
Rick
park truck.
driving this summer was pretty bad.
That's the park truck.
There's one of the park. There's one would be, I would say, water, sewer, and one would probably fall under all 3. But I don't have the makes and models with me. But just a thought.
Well, the one white Ford, he's gonna be walking.
Huh?
Once his name drives the white Ford, he's gonna be walking.
Well, they're all white Fords, specified.
No, well, you got the new ones, but that old 80s model, 90s model. When he stops the stop sign and takes off,
Oh, the old F-150.
it takes about 10 minutes,
Yeah,
and it finally catches, and then
yeah,
it takes off.
Well, Rick's truck.
yeah.
There's 3 of them that are pretty bad.
Well, if you could add 5 minutes to that 10 minutes, we could say you took a break and then we could.
Is there?
When he comes to the sewer plant and I'm sitting out there,
Is there a?
it's like it's not going to make it.
Is there one that you can step down from water and sewer, go to state bid, buy something brand new that is good, dependable, under warranty, that water and sewer can afford as a brand new fleet vehicle, and then turn one of the ones that are newer to us, but used, good, dependable, and then step down? I don't want to buy, honestly, I don't want to buy something that's got 160,000 miles on it with
Honestly,
$25.
with the way the prices are right now, I wouldn't feel comfortable buying a brand new new vehicle at this point, and that's my opinion. I just think that everything's so high right now. Wait until, say some of the plants open up and, we don't have the problem with the chips and the this and the that, and that's why everything's so high. Wait and see what happens then. That's my opinion.
I say you're probably right, Mayor, but I was at the auto auction today, and a used big pickup truck like these guys want to use here.
Yeah.
Sitting over in the lot where they're changing it from the Canadian speedometer and all that over in the US.
Yeah.
$120,000 for a used pickup truck.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna spend that kind of money, even with state bid, you're gonna go through that process.
I mean,
Inspect it out. And
I've been looking just to kind of keep an eye on things, and we're coming across ones that have over 200,000 miles that they're wanting 10 grand for. So this is the best I've seen, and I just thought I'd throw it out tonight.
My daddy always said, if you take care of them, they'll run forever.
Tomorrow morning it might be sky high, I don't know, but just throwing it out there. But the bid ends tomorrow. The other thing, I know that council had decided to allow the 4 9s and a 4 for everybody. I haven't had any negative feedback about it. People seem to have adjusted really well. I know the staff likes it. Everybody is doing it, well, 2 of them are not. Rick was not, and Kenny Dillinger is not. They've stayed on the 5/8s, which actually benefits us because then Fridays.
My question is, we did that through the summer, and I thought it was a great idea, but once we get rolling into winter with the snow removal and stuff, are we going to be creating a lot of extra overtime if we do that? I mean, snow's on Friday.
Who's overseeing Kenny if he's opted not to work those hours, is that everybody else?
I'm sure Kenny Weiser would give him what he wants him to do while he's gone, and that's what he does.
So are we talking about Kenny Weiser or Kenny Dillinger?
Kenny Dillinger, but Kenny Weiser would be his direct supervisor.
Now, what's his work hours? Kenny Weiser?
7 to 4.
Every day?
4 9s and then a 4-hour on Friday.
So Kenny Dillinger is on his own on the rest day Friday because he works 8 for Friday.
Right.
For 4 hours on Friday.
Which is better than having.
But then he's here, so if something happens, somebody gets called in, he's here for those extra hours on Friday.
I know we did that in the summer, and I'm good with that. Do you think it's going to be all right to do that through the winter months with snow and snow removal?
4 hours isn't going to make much of a difference, Bill, because when it snows, Mark comes out on Saturdays, Sundays, and Danny comes out on Saturdays and
Usually it
Sundays.
snows Friday evening, it's into Saturday.
At 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock
on Friday, yeah.
The good thing now is we have more guys, so we have Colton and Kenny Dillinger, so it's not just going to be Mark and Dana.
Right.
Where before they were putting in insane
Tim
hours.
All the guys were jumping in plow trucks.
So, we've got more guys that are able to jump in, and yeah, Mark and Dana will end up doing
A lot.
a majority of it. But we have the manpower now to adjust
When I first got
schedules
on
and.
council, one of the things that was brought up to me, that was brought up to the municipal league meeting is one of the things you gotta do as council is make sure you have good equipment for your employees.
Dependable equipment.
Good dependable equipment for your employees. If that yellow truck's not dependable, then we replace it with that, let's replace it with that.
What's-
I agree with that, Bill, but my point is not every employee needs a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? If we got 3 street department employees, then all 3 of them don't need a vehicle.
But you
Same
don't
thing
know
if
what
we
they're,
got 3.
you don't know what they're gonna be doing
Where they're going.
with
A couple of
each
them
day.
do share, though.
And it depends on what they're doing. If they're all going in different directions,
Yeah, who's supervising them?
we're not always gonna have a supervisor at each spot. It depends on what job they're working on.
I think we need to look a little bit more deep into it and see, you know, do we actually need as many vehicles as we have?
This is to replace an existing vehicle. This isn't just to throw out another vehicle.
Not an additional vehicle.
No, it's to replace something that's already failing, like, rather than keep putting money into it and, you know, putting one of our guys in an unsafe vehicle, I would rather
That
spend.
yellow one's junk.
Yeah, and it's been.
It is
junk.
junk.
That one is junk.
Just replace it. Replace it with something a little better.
Red.
Rather
Just for now, I mean, I'd rather do that and pay 60, 120,000 for a new vehicle. If it's gonna upgrade them to where it's safe and it's.
And
We get a
really,
year
all they
out
do
of
is.
it, we get a year out of it.
Right, and that's the way I was looking at it. If this could put a Band-Aid on it and get us through the next year or two, and the guys have something that's going to keep them moving, they're not driving out of town in it. They're just driving here, you know, locally. So, and I don't feel like each of our guys needs to be supervised for every 40 hours a week. We've got good guys working for us. They don't need someone to supervise every move they make. And if they have a problem, they go to each other, they come to me, you know, I don't feel that they need 40 hours a week of buddy system supervision.
Yeah, I see that younger boy, I'm not sure who he is, but he's Mark most of the time, seems like.
Cool.
Yeah, usually
Yeah.
those two ride
Yeah,
together.
and if they're doing a project together, they'll ride together. But, you know, COVID, everybody separated for a while. So, you know, it's just, well, that's your opinion, Rodney, but,
Spread the disease.
Yeah, it was what it was.
It is what it is.
That's right.
so.
I don't
I
have a problem with upgrading that vehicle because it's been junk for.
Not that one, I know that, yeah.
When I had Tim in and we were going through, because like I said, they're in Columbus. They had 5 or 6 of them that were almost identical, few things different with each of them. So he and I looked through them just to see which.
Is he gonna go up and check, do you buy them sight unseen, or can Tim go up and look at the motors
Well,
in
the
them?
bid ends tomorrow at 6, so it's,
He's not gonna get up there yet.
so, but that's up to you guys. I just have been
I
trying to find.
would like you to look it over.
Yeah,
Tim's gonna be the one working on it, Tim's the one that ends up working on it, so
yeah.
I'd like for him to go up, start it, hear it, shut it off, maybe put it in drive, put it in park, see what, he's, like I said, he's mechanic, he's the one that does most of the mechanical work for us.
Oh, absolutely.
Before I buy a vehicle, I'd like for him to be able to look at it, though, that's
Can
my
you
only
look at it
thing.
before you buy it?
I can see, see where I can get a hold
I
of
don't
tomorrow.
remember if you can. I think you can. There's certain
Yeah, I mean, I
times
know
you-
that we've had people come and look at our stuff before.
Right.
And we've sold it, so.
Where's it at?
It's in Columbus, it's, one of the park services in Columbus, so, that's up to you guys.
I am good with
Oh, we need it.
So if he's able to go look at it,
Yeah.
we're on board.
I'd like.
It's not even guaranteed that we're gonna get it.
Right, and that's what I said. I might wake up tomorrow and look at it and it's way out of our price range.
I am an asshole, we never know.
So you don't know, but I just wanted to bring up the possibility of replacing some of the older ones. Well, you go up and start it up, you and Tim Bob go and we'll have bidding war.
You'll end up with it.
You bet your extra $750 on there. We'll let you have it.
That's taking the Band-Aid
Yeah,
off.
oh, coming, did you?
That's taking the Band-Aid off.
Good.
Speechless. Did you hear that? Whew, no answer.
Gotta
Come back on that one.
So again, about the hours, if everybody's on board with the hours, Jan and I spoke briefly via email today. We would need to do some sort of resolution ordinance, some sort of,
Make it permanent.
to make it, yeah.
I'm good with it.
I don't know if I'm good with it yet, because I want to see what
What the
happens
winter
with the winter program.
Okay,
Not against it, I'm just,
wait and see. Okay.
yeah, kind of.
I know you guys
You don't
mentioned
know.
6 months.
We'll
and
just
it's-
extend it another 6 months through the winter and
That's
Give it a
fine.
full year.
Yeah, then if we want, and after we get through the winter, let's see how it works,
Yeah.
and then decide whether we want to do that permanently or not.
Yeah.
'Cause you don't know how it's going to work, really,
Right.
once cold stuff breaks, water breaks.
we'll just make a motion Monday night then.
Not against
4
it.
months.
No, absolutely. I just knew the 6 month point was about it.
Started July.
It was May
May.
9th.
So we're right around.
So we're
I
pretty
thought for
much at 6
summer,
months.
I thought for summer was great, but
Yeah.
once it starts,
See what happens, 6 months.
once the weather starts changing and things start, these guys get tied down. Busy.
Yeah, let's hope we don't have a winter like last year.
Yeah, but I mean, they have water break anytime after they're home or still working or whatever, I don't see what.
Right, but usually during the winter time, that's when a lot of that stuff occurs more.
We're not supposed to have any more water breaks now, Billy.
It does. I mean, honestly, that's when your water breaks happen, that's when a lot of your.
And a lot of it will depend on
They're
what
working
kind of
in their
weather
hair
or
and
winter we
they
have.
have to remove snow,
What, 2
they
years
go
ago,
out,
it
so.
wasn't bad at all. Last year we got,
Make sure
They're
they're
just
not
gonna let us
getting
know.
Yeah.
So, but I think you gotta, at least
yeah,
before you make it what it
They're
is,
gonna be
and
home
have
anyway.
to change back, make everybody
At
mad.
least you would hope that's the plan, you know?
See what.
Okay.
I talked to Chris Rice when he come in to vote, he talked to me, and his recommendation for the rec center is set the thermostat at 60 degrees, and he doesn't need any warmer than that for his climbing people. I said I'd bring it up and let you know, it's fine if it's set at 60, but he comes in there, sometimes it's cranked up like you said, and he doesn't know who's done it. And
well, it's
some-
not us,
you know.
that's for sure.
But we still have cameras there, don't we?
Yeah, but to sit and watch and not know what day it happened, I mean,
Who's
it's,
there?
it's almost impossible to sit and watch. We get the new keypad system in, we'll know who's doing it. They're not gonna be in the building to begin with.
The next step's gonna be put a Wi-Fi thermostat in so you can check it
Well,
at your
I
desk
think
every
that
day.
George mentioned doing
George
that.
has mentioned doing that.
Yeah,
Either that or just.
That
put
might be a
Wi-Fi
smart
thermostat
way.
in where you control it from here.
Oh, yeah, let's give the internet more control.
Absolutely.
And with,
I'm on board with that.
I just,
that, I mean, if it makes it more efficient and cost savings, I'm all for it. This, the Wi-Fi thermostat, George has talked about it before. like I
Yes.
said. Chris mentions one other thing, and I can't remember what it was, I'll bring it up later, but something had to do with this. He's feeling comfortable about still doing the climbing wall, and, you know, he wanted me to thank council for your support and all the years that he was here, and he's still, you know, he's enjoying his time, but, you know, he's doing good.
Chris is one of the original stakeholders
Yeah.
in that rec center, and as long as Chris wants to do it, Chris will do it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because he's the original stakeholder, and he knows the ins and outs of that place, he knows the flaws, and the successes of it, so.
I have one other thing I'd like Lacey to update us on about the paving in the park. I went down to what's the latest?
I've sent out another email to Kevin Smith. So tomorrow I'll give him a call. They came down, they looked at it.
What did he say?
He looked at it a lot differently than I looked at it, and a lot differently than what you guys have looked at it. He didn't think it was as bad as what we think it is. But I feel like it's an unacceptable job, and feel that McKee Paving needs to get it taken care of. It needs to be taken care of properly. There are hazards all over the place that's not safe.
They're a reputable paving company too, so I'm assuming that they were under the direction of just do what you have to do.
Well, and that's what when I first questioned him, my question was, when are they coming back to finish it? Because I thought maybe this was the first step, and maybe they'll be coming back. That was not the case.
I wound up with litigation on that one too.
So, Jan's well aware. I've sent Jan the pictures, so she knows what's going on.
Well, I have to do her thing.
Yeah.
Might as well start. Because they're already they're paving the ditch trail right now. I think it's probably McKee doing it.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a spot that Dana could get his hand up to his knuckle, his first knuckle, down into the crack. It's a mess. So, it's still a work in progress.
We'll be fighting with them for another 6, 7, 8 months, maybe next year it still won't be done.
Well, at some point, Jane gets involved, and that's
what I said. You might go there and let the legal people work her magic.
Okay. Anything else come before council, Steve?
Can I bring up one more thing?
Sure.
Can we get an adult park at the park?
It's on the list.
Okay. Alright. So I'll go.
Just had 2/3 majority of the dogs in town that can vote on it.
As far as I've been told, as long as that one character, Rodney Water, stays out there, them dogs will be alright.
I'm a big dog fan, you know that. So I probably won't be down there at all.
I would imagine. You keep yours indoors, right?
I try not to have any at all.
Mm.
You got cats, don't you?
I have one cat.
Okay.
Where's your dog?
Chief, anything tonight?
You got your dog. Huh?
He's trying to or even riding.
You didn't shoot him, did you?
No, not yet.
Chief, anything?
No, sir.
No? All right. Any applications?
Me? No.
All right. Yeah. One night, we're going to be surprised.
He's gonna say yes.
he's gonna just have a whole.
He'll be so
That's
excited
it,
he won't be
all
able to
day.
keep it till he has
Right,
to.
Exactly. He's going to leave as our treasurer.
Stokes will get cleared the 5th.
What?
Stokes is cleared the
Yeah.
5th.
Okay, good.
I thought he said he's getting married.
He'll plead the 5th? Okay, we're adjourned.